SBC Media.
SBC Leaders connects the gambling industry's top-tier operators and associations to share the best ideas, collaborate on solving the biggest issues, and push innovation throughout the betting and gaming industry. If you're an operator and want to join the discussion, visit sbcleaders.com for more information.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to iGaming Daily Podcast, sponsored by SBC Summit Rio. I am Ivana Flynn. I will be your host for this one and hopefully a few other ones. And I am today joined with Aurimas from Betsson Group. Aurimas, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. First SBC podcast for me, so that's a new experience. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully I do well.
First SBC podcast for me as well. So just to introduce this new topic a little bit, this is a new idea. You are all familiar with the daily podcast by iGaming, and this is coming with a little bit more marketing and SEO niche to give you a little bit of updates, what's going on with Google and what we're expecting to happen and what is happening and how we're dealing with it. This is the first one. I really hope you enjoy it. We have chosen with Aurimas very nerdy topic, and it's the latest Google features, right? How we feel about them. What do we think of them? Do they have future? Can we use them? Are we going to abuse them? Basically, very simple. We are going to be talking about the Google Notes, hidden gems, and the follow buttons. Which one do you want to start with, Aurimas?
Well, probably we can maybe go with Google Notes, because I think that is one of the more recent ones. It made me a bit think like how this could work for the future. So basically, I did some research how this might work. Of course, this changes the SERPs a lot, where users can add comments or their opinions on certain search results, and then other users can see them as well, which is basically like a more or less, not like a review system, I would say, but yeah, as a comment system, similar to what you have in social media. You can add comments to different posts. So this made me kind of think that, hey, more and more Google is becoming like a huge social media platform if they stick to this kind of trend.
I wrote that in one of the reviews, like, is Google becoming a giant social media? I am not a social media person, so I don't know how I feel about it. What do you think? Is it a good step or not?
Well, I can feel probably they feel a lot of pressure from all of these social media platforms. Of course, they have one of their own, which is pretty good, YouTube. I would call it kind of like a social media platform, more or less. But still, they have lots of competition coming from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So I guess this is part of their plan to fight against them, because more and more searches are probably happening, or user queries and searches are probably happening in TikTok, Instagram, and so on. So Google, in order to fight that, I guess they are trying to kind of catch up and implement some features which makes them a bit more like a social media platform. So one of these is these notes. So basically equivalent to more or less comments in social media posts. Of course, here, it's quite tricky for them because it can be abused, let's say.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
Probably that's why it's experimental feature first. Probably it will take them a while to figure this out. Is it worth in like going live with this for all users or not? But usually all these kind of features where you can have fake users adding something or creating something like bots, they are usually like easy to abuse. That it will definitely happen. And I think, Google, that's why they want to test it out and see, probably have time to fight these kind of things as well. Because basically, if you are a competitor of some website, you can just spam these kind of notes section in the SERPs.
Yeah, I'm afraid of negative SEO attacks. I mean, especially in iGaming, we are very competitive and we abuse everything. Just like anything you think of, we can abuse. Just like alt text, right? Is there for impaired vision people? No. You see a picture of a girl drinking cappuccino, you're going to do cappuccino, espresso, coffee, tea, matcha. We abuse it. So I think notes are first thing to be abused. And when I read about it, I thought, what the hell? Like, seriously. For now, it's just in USA. So this is valid for you if you are in US markets, and there is a lot of US market here. So, of course, you will be first one to see it. You'll be first one to experiment with it, and you will be first one to feel the negative or positive effects. But I looked into it, with changing IP, and I saw abuse so far. Like no one actually put something like, thank you, this is an amazing recipe, I'll try it this weekend. They were like, my bum hurts. Like, it's really irrelevant.
Yeah, or if you have bad experience with a website or brand probably, and you have this enabled probably, and you know what it is and how it works, you would probably also use it basically to do some negative information about the brand or website, which is also not ideal. It's like not maybe it could be a place in the SERPs, but not necessarily. Maybe this bad experience didn't happen because of the fault of the brand. Maybe like the client did something, but they can still be a bit, let's say, angry, and then they have like a platform on Google where like they can influence other users who didn't even try the brand yet, didn't even click on their website, didn't try their experience. So yeah, this is a bit tricky for sure. From what I understand, so from what I see, this is currently on mobile, if I'm not mistaken, only, and in the US English. Yeah, so we'll see how this will work, if this will be done for other markets. It seems quite tricky for them to be able to manage this in multiple languages, to be honest. I guess if they will launch this live, not in Search Lab, it will probably be English only for a while, because somebody has to review these kind of notes and find abuse cases. And if you don't know the language, you don't have people, like probably you have to have actual people looking into them from time to time. And if you don't have people like not knowing that certain language, then it will be very tricky to do. I think like Facebook and Twitter, I'm not sure now these days, but Facebook definitely has an army of people basically checking content to make sure that it is like compliant, and they might not get in trouble for content that is placed on their platform. Twitter probably fired quite a lot of these people after Elon came in, so I'm not sure how many they have now. But yeah, Google would need something similar, and I think it would cost them a lot of money to do that. So yeah, I guess like English for sure, I can imagine they would stick to for a while.
Yeah, so problem will be abuse and spam. And I'm just waiting for that email or the message on LinkedIn like, Madam, we can do notes for you. Yeah. I didn't get it yet, but it's going to. If this survives, it's going to.
Brazil, a global economic powerhouse, deeply passionate about sports, and now home to one of the hottest markets in gaming. And we're giving it the full SBC treatment. Join industry leaders, market experts, and all the major players in the country for 3 days of content, exhibition, and epic networking at the first ever SBC Summit Rio.
Question is, do you think it will survive? I think it will not. I think they will test it. They will see the abuse. They will see it's not bringing the value they were hoping, and it dies off. At least this is my wish.
Yeah, unless they manage to do some sort of AI, like super good filtering out these notes that are like probably fake. From fake users or done to attack or abuse the system, then yeah, probably it will go away. Or maybe they will change to something, I don't know, some other type that is a bit less abusable, let's say. But the way how it is now, yeah, if they don't have some super smart AI that would do automatic checks, which is probably impossible to do for all markets and all languages. Be honest, maybe for English and maybe for Spanish they could do it because they have a lot of web, like say online web language information to learn from, what is good, what is bad. But like the smaller markets, smaller languages, like it would be with AI, it would be very difficult to do, at least in any like near term. So yeah, if they will launch it, probably they have to have some super good automation on this, on the filtering out, and probably it will be only for English and maybe some other like large markets. But I would give it like 70% that it's not going to happen for like,
I think it will die. And if it happens, it will short-live, hopefully. Now, second one, follow buttons. I think that is a little bit better step to be giant social media or to give people interaction with the SERPs. But is it usable for iGaming? If yes, where do you see we can use it? I was really giving the thought to it, so I have actually a few ideas, but I want to hear you. What do you think?
Yeah.
Can we use it? Can we use it? Just to give our listeners an idea what it is. So basically, again, for now in USA, you can follow a news. So it needs to be in Google News, and you can follow it. This help it to trend, and once it's trending, it can go to Google Discover. So people basically can vote up a good result in news. It cannot be just on any result in a Google. It needs to be in the Google News. Therefore, what can we get to Google News with? Casino review, I doubt.
So Basically, yes. So again, this is one of these ways of how Google is becoming more like a social media platform.
Yeah, but Google is going the user-first content. I mean, we are talking about it all this year. We were thinking that what they're going to adapt is the catching the attention like TikTok in few seconds. That's what we thought it's going to be. Not, yeah, this is amazing, follow up.
Yeah, so one of the ways, again, becoming more like social media with notes, follow buttons, and similar things. With iGaming, from what I understand, this feature is currently not supported for sensitive topics. And these sensitive topics are, basically, this is coming from the PPC area because they have these sensitive topics for that kind of thing listed. So it's alcohol, dating, gambling, weight loss, and I guess health related stuff, in some cases related information. So while this feature is marked not available for sensitive content, it shouldn't be basically enabled for any topics related to iGaming. Not sure if that works on a website level. For example, if you are an iGaming site and if you write about, I don't know, some sports match review or something like that, or some, without mentioning maybe odds or any related information about gambling, I'm not sure if they would still kind of be relevant, or if they could still appear in these follow feature or not. Probably not. I can imagine they are just flagging the website. If you're about gambling, you probably, whatever content you have.
I think for website, if it's just like gaming website, it will not happen. But you can have a subdomain like news, whatever. And this news can be actually useful information for sports. Okay, I will not do it for casino, but for sports. You can write predictions. You can create amazing infographics. So I think for that, we can get to Google News. So maybe on that it could be used, because in that case, it would not be sensitive topic. Sport is sport. People like to talk about it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of podcasts on it. It's not as difficult as casino itself. So I would go with the sport niche a little bit.
Yeah.
If we can use it, it will be there.
Yeah, I would say with casino, it's very unlikely. With sports, you can probably do it, but then in the article itself, you probably can't mention the odds or link to an odds page or anything like that. So predictions, I guess, if you write not about odds, but let's say percentage-wise, for example, hey, this team has 20% of chance of winning. Technically, that's odds, but not necessarily. You're not mentioning the product you're offering. So probably that might be one of the ways going around it. If you want to have some predictions, more accurate, not just, hey, this team will probably win. So you can probably use something like that. Percentages, hey, this team has this percent, this team has that. If you're having an overview of the whole season or something, for the future, then you can have it for every team, what the chances are, but not mentioning odds, say percentages. So some content like this probably might work, and it's kind of related to odds or gambling, but not necessarily. So I think something like that might be probably best to target. And then, of course, anything related to sports news, probably if your website is high authority in that, already appearing in Google News, then and you are in US at least for now.
For now, of course, but we are preparing for next few years. SEO is always long term, and there are a lot of companies that are currently in US, so how they can use it. So I believe exactly sport. Casino, I would, first of all, even if it would be allowed, the casino content is not interesting. Unless someone wins 2 million on €1 stake, it's not interesting topic. Then you can do lots of trending, I think. How, for example, now there was the series of David Beckham. I think you can incorporate that into your topic, so people start to like it. Yeah, I know David Beckham, I'm going to like that. So I think you will need to make more interesting and trending content, not nerdy as we do right now. It will need to appear to broader audience.
Yeah, the content where people would like to kind of subscribe to it and follow. So yeah, it has to be quite good as well. Maybe not super long content where just people can click and they'll read something fast. Not some huge tutorial where you have to spend 20 minutes to read it. Probably something like that would not work. Or some big, so I would stick probably to a bit shorter content length. People reading it on mobile, of course. So they will not spend that much time reading it most likely. So yeah, shorter term, very newsworthy, recent, some updates content, yes. And this is probably one of the features that will stick. It is my guess at least, that basically, it will definitely go to more markets most likely in the future, because this is like difficult to abuse unless at some point Google will use this as a ranking factor, how many people are following your content. Again, I can imagine having some messages, hey, we can do this for you. Like we can have fake users, 3,000 followers and service. Yes, would be interesting.
This is the opposite of the notes, because notes can be spammy, can be abused. I think follow button on Google News is calling for quality content. So we will not be able to use generic AI content. We will not be able to scrape the web and just create content that is already there. I think it will require a high quality content with interesting topic and a good writer, a journalist style writer.
Okay.
So I think this feature is once again going against the AI content.
Yes, most likely you will need some author that is quite authoritative in that content for higher chances to be visible there. One thing we didn't mention, that it's not only Google Discover and Google News you can see it, but if you actually follow the content that you select or the keyword that you select in the search results. For example, I think Google gave an example of some half marathon keyword. Hey, I want to follow this topic and the news about it. So you would also get notified in your mobile phone if something like very relevant to this kind of keyword is happening at the moment, some new news. So it's kind of encouraging the user to go to the search results or Google News and basically use their apps, use their Google Apps, services, basically similar to Facebook notifications, for example, when you have a new message from some person or whatever.
Or YouTube, probably they learn this feature from YouTube, how people interact with their results there because they own that, so they can have some learnings from algorithms there. So maybe that's why they are implementing it here. Yes, but I agree with you. This feature will survive. And I think if it's done properly, it will be actually a good one to enrich our results and to inform our future customers in a better, more informative, less spammy way. So I like this feature.
Yes, I give a like. And again, Google is going more to personalized search. So this is one of the steps basically to go there.
And that's good.
It's good for users, for companies and people who are doing SEO. It makes it a bit more tricky because
we learn
each user
new every day.
Yeah, each user has their own SERPs, which kind of it's difficult to target then, the search results, So
I know, but then we will see less impressions on our results. But who do you want to target? If you're targeting people that want to play casino, you want to target them and not to appear to people that are not going to interact with you anyways if Google is going that way. So I think the targeted search in the end, or targeted results, will be good. And now last one, hidden gems. What do we think of that?
Again, something quite interesting. Again, Google focusing a bit more kind of social media way, but in this case, it's not their own social media content. No, their own content that they would generate in the search results or show, but it's kind of actually content from other social media platforms and forums and so on. So this is definitely something interesting. From what I understand, this has been happening already for a few months and been tested.
I think it launched in June this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. So they had time to test this out properly before they announced it kind of going fully live. So basically more and more user content is generated in these social media platforms, forums, blogs, comments, whatever else you have, that Google is considering this as hidden gems. So if you don't focus on this kind of content, you can be missing out on a lot of useful information for the users who are searching certain queries, keywords, and so on. So I guess, again, Google doesn't want to get behind this trend. And this is especially, from what I understand, useful for these queries or searches that happen for the first time, that Google never seen these searches before, something very, very specific. And this answer to this very specific queries can be somewhere hidden, super behind in social media, some comment or something like that. So this is one of the ways for them to deal with these questions that Google is seeing for the first time.
Yes, because when you think of it, how we create content, we see what's trending and then we think like, oh, that's a good post. Let's have a page on that. Let's have a landing page dedicated to this. Things are already happening and people actually give answers on social media, on blog posts. So Google is trying to find that and give it a priority in SERPs. I think this is an amazing place to explain that SEO doesn't stand alone. We work with places like social media, and I think this is what will just make our cooperation even deeper. Now, again, can we abuse it and can we use it to our advantage?
This one is probably the most tricky because, again, there's not... Probably links play a role. I can imagine a bit into like if some sort of content is placed on a page which has some, let's say, links from other websites, probably it has more likelihood of appearing in the search results as this hidden gem. So most probably you can do link building. But again, is it worth doing that just for like a comment or a Facebook post versus like an article on your own website or somewhere else? Probably not. Unless, like you think it makes sense. So this is, I think most likely less abusable. Maybe you could find a forum or a page in a forum which has lots of these answers coming out of it. And maybe then if you put something there, your own answer, it might be better than the previous one. And your answer will be showing in the search results or something like that. I can imagine might work, but
we need to work with social media on this one. I think lots of bet casinos maybe they can have a great team and just start to spam these places with promoting them.
Most likely Google would not consider this as helpful content because...
But it's not part of helpful content. It's just a new feature.
Yeah, but for what I understand, it's a new feature. But again, like for it to have any chance of appearing in the search result, it still has to somehow evaluate if it's helpful or not, especially if it's a comment or social media post. So if you have any like promotional probably material about your company, unless it's some search related to your brand, probably like you will not rank with it. If it's some informational content about not brand related, I mean, it has to be very probably informative, or it has to be, the only available content to that query available online, then maybe it's possible to rank. But again, Google has lots of practice with YouTube. So I'm seeing all of these features, again, as you mentioned as well, with the comments and so on. Even with this now, like it's probably coming from their experience with the YouTube channel, which I still consider a social media platform.
Will this survive or not?
I think this is 99% survivable. Because this is...
Do we give it a like button or no?
In my case, I approve, yes. Because, you can have many interesting answers and useful things like in these forum social media platforms, and before it could rank, but it was not very well prioritized, like comparing to some article or blog post that is
good.
Talking about something.
So there you have it, 3 new features. I hope we answered all the questions people had in their mind. Thank you very much, Aurimas. I loved it. I think I learned something from you. So I really hope that this was helpful, and I really hope that some things survive and notes don't.
Yes, nice.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
SVC Media.